Hi everyone, Justin here at PPC. I got asked this question the other day and I wanted to address it. What do you do if you have tight hip flexors? All right. Here's a great stretch that we can do to address that area. Some people call this a hurdler. I'm not sure what you want to call it. We can use a bench. We can do this on the ground. If you're at work, you can use a desk or a bench. You can kind of get really creative with this sort of movement. Now typically how this is done, generally we sort of lean passively into that hip, getting that nice sort of hip flexor stretch in that area there. Some people can get really deep, really passive, and still not even feel it. Now, why that's happening is because they're not controlling the movement. They're sort of passively going into it as opposed to actively controlling the range of motion, which I think is mobility, or the definition of mobility. So instead of doing that passive stretch, let's do an active sort of mobility drill here. Can we create hip extension? All right. In order to do that, all right, I need to get my glutes on. A good cue to get them active is to drive your knee down into the bench. So drive my knee into the bench, glutes on. Can I get trunk engaged? Can I get this oblique on? In order to do that, I got to bring my rib cage close to my pelvis or crunch my abs. Great. Now I've got trunk engaged, glutes engaged. I'm getting a huge hip flexor stretch here all the way down into the quad. We can sink some breaths with that. All right. That's going to help us further with our mobility gains. And by doing this sort of more active range of motion drill, we get to accomplish three things. We activate neglected muscles that support the trunk and hip function. All right. We get to the intended hip flexor stretch. And three, we get increased motor control and coordination between the whole system.